Welcome to the Geek Easy. Sit back, grab a libation of your choice, and relax, 'cause it's time to do some geek stuff in the Geek Easy. Welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Grab yourself a beverage of your choice, because today, we are going to be suffering as we do every Tuesday night. It is time to review the new episode of Gotham Knights. I think this was number 6. Where to go? Where to start? Okay. Let's go with this. This issue, why do I keep saying issue? This episode has Joe Chill in it. Fun fact, the only cool thing about this episode is that Joe Chill was played by Doug Bradley, Pinhead himself. Joe Chill is in this episode, and he has been on death row for guess how long? 50 years. 50 years. And they mention that his Bruce Wayne's Thomas and Martha Wayne were killed when Bruce Wayne was 8 years old. So technically that makes, in this show, Bruce Wayne was at least 50 years old, or 58 years old when he died, which would explain why he was so easy to kill. But 58 years old. Yeah, no. All right, so he's in this episode, and he wants to talk to Bruce Wayne's son, can't remember the character's name, to tell him some information because he's scheduled to be executed over the next couple days. He talks to Harvey Dent and says, "Hey, I need to talk to Bruce Wayne's son." So we have that little subplot going on. We have Carrie, the non-Robin Robin, who wears an outfit that doesn't even remotely look anything like Robin, because if you see her, you're not going to say, "Hey, that's Robin." She is having to stay in the hospital, not because she's sick, but her mom works there. And her last episode, her mom went to a parent-teachers meeting when Carrie thought she wasn't going to be there, finds out that Carrie's not there, so she's making Carrie stay in the hospital to do her homework, right? And then we have the rest of the gang up in the belfry, the tower, whatever, trying to figure out how to solve the cipher, which is the book they're trying to get last episode. The incredibly well-written episode of, how do we get these people to stop chasing us in this car? Oh, throw money at them. Yeah, that one. Okay, so that's... Okay. So, Carrie is there with... doing her homework, and the guy who took the fall for the girl that was going to be becomes spoiler, hacking into the computer system a couple weeks ago. He's there, and they talk, and at some point, he comes up to the nurses and says, hey, there's this guy in a room. There's something wrong with him. We need help. And of course, the nurses don't believe him, don't want to help him. They're short-handed. But, so if someone actually comes up in the hospital and says, hey, someone needs help, of course the nurses are just going to say, oh, we're too busy. We're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, that happens, right? So he goes to her, says, hey, can you get your mom to help? He goes like, oh, my mom's too busy. Let me go look at it. So these two go into this guy's room. He's got this huge cut that, or wound that was opened. And his, stitches had busted. So you know what she wants to do? Instead of actually going and getting somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, she sends dude out to get some supplies, and they decide to stitch this guy up themselves. Yeah, because in medical school, her mom had practiced on fruits, and she had helped her with it. So, doing it practicing doing stitches on a banana teaches her how to do it on a real person for the first time. Yeah, that's makes sense, Okay. Oh, by the way, Batman, 58 years old. Yeah. Then we have the other group. We have Joker's daughter, and we find out in this episode that the name on her birth certificate is Joker's daughter. Don't think that's from the comics. I'm not sure. I'll need to look into that, but yeah, that's not, yeah. So, they finally, and I got to give them some credit on this one, they actually found a semi-intelligent way of figuring out what the cipher was and then how to solve it. That was actually sort of well thought through, and they didn't get the solution right away. And that was kind of well written. But when they do, get the point, they said they've solved it, which seemed a little odd because it's really, this notebook was really kind of thick. But there's an address they needed to go to, and they don't know what the address is. Just, it's an address. So like, okay, we need to go see what this is. Because they're still trying to figure out where the money came from to pay them, the other people who set up Bruce. I mean, not Bruce, but who to go kill this guy to set dude up, where the money came from. So they need to see what this address is. And so instead of just one person going to this address, right? Because remember, these are being these people are wanted, right? These people are wanted by the police for killing Bruce Wayne. All 4 of them, because we don't have the Robin there, run across town at night, just right out in the open. Nobody sees them. Nobody's like, hey, dude, because their pictures are plastered all over everyone. And they get across there. They decide to go in a group instead of just have one person being, subtle and sliding around over there. And they get to a gym. It's a boxing gym. They come up to a window, which they're outside, and they can see into the gym from the outside. So it's not, there's no shade. It's not like there's something high back here or anything like that. It's just uncovered. You can see in the gym there's a bunch of people walking around with semi-automatic, rifles and guns, and just doing kind of a drug operation going on in there. Anybody can see in the window. Anybody. But, they don't care. All right? And they're like, oh, we've got to do something about this. We've got to do something about this. And so they decide to go in and stop them from doing it. Why they need to do this? I don't know. But they decide to go in there and, like, these guys have, these, looks like an M14 or AK-47s or something. And then handguns, which our people don't have, right? And they're like, but they have guns. And they're like, oh, well, Tyler, I think his name is, says, we have the element of surprise. So they go in there and they're fighting these guys, right? And none of them use the guns to shoot them. Like there's one scene where one of the guys has the rifles and he's trying to butt them with his gun. I was like, dude, you have a gun, shoot them. And like there's a scene where they pull up a gun and have the gun like just like that right there for a good 5, 6, 7 seconds, and all he has to do is pull the trigger and the person's dead. But no. Bad guys who have guns, they don't decide to use the guns. Yeah, that'd be too simple. This is some pretty thick plot armor. Hugely thick plot armor. And then we also have another scene between with Tyler where he gets meets with Harvey Dent to go talk to Joe Chill. They meet in this one place. And he's worried that Harvey is going to set him up. So he brings Joker's daughter. And so she just like comes up behind him and puts a knife to his throat just to make sure that he's not setting him up. That's smart, because that's a good way to get you killed if he had actually done it. But just the whole episode was just incredibly stupid things after another. There's only, they have, and then there's another pretty white kids with problems scene near the end, which, that's just, they're kind of just staring at each other like, oh, what are we going to do? And of course it gets interrupted by a phone call. They aren't getting much better. The only thing that was remotely interesting was them trying to figure out how or what the code was, and then trying to figure out the way how to solve it. Because they knew what it was, they just needed to find a certain thing to solve it. But then they find out that, they said we have it solved, but then they find out it's only the first page. When they said, oh, we broke the code. Or we solved it. I mean, that to me, that meant the whole thing, but it turns out only, the first couple lines would be an address or something. That part right there was kind of well written for all these episodes so far. But no, the rest of the stuff fell into the same old tired, huge plot armor, or because the plot said so situations, because they needed to move from point to point. Stuff that if you had any brains whatsoever, you wouldn't do. Oh, we're wanted by the police. Let's all go out together and run through the streets where anybody can see us, instead of one person trying to just be sly. Let's, let me with no medical training try and go and stitch a guy up in the hospital with no anesthetic, and stuff like that, with two people who have never done it before. Stuff like that. That's not even sure what that whole scene was about, how that fit into the whole story. I don't know, but I'm gonna give it a 0.5 out of 5. It's not getting any better at all. And I don't know. I still think they're trying to go for the record of, let's see if we can beat how bad Batwoman was. And like I keep saying, they're on par to do it. They've doing it so far, and wow. Let's just see if, probably going to see if they can just make it one season. They're on track for that. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought, if you watch it, if you're still watching it. And like, subscribe, most of all, try and enjoy your comic shows. At least not this one anyway.